Suicide Notes, Day 15. So my parents came again today. This time things went much better, at least I think they did. The only weird thing was that my mother kept staring at my wrists. Somehow I'd forgotten about the scars already and wore a t-shirt. I tried to cross my arms and tuck my hands in, but I was afraid they'd think I was being hostile, so instead I just clasped my hands together and tried to keep the scars' sides in. Still, she kept looking down there. Cat Poop started off the session by asking my parents each to name one thing about me that they were proud of. You can imagine how excited I was about that, but actually it wasn't too cringe-inducing. My father said that he's always been proud of the fact that I do well in school, which is a pretty dad thing to say, very neutral and not too touchy-feeling. My mom said she was proud of everything I did. Cat Poop asked her to be more specific, which made me want to laugh, but I didn't, and she said she guessed she was most proud of the fact that I was a good person. I'm not sure what a good person is exactly. On one hand, it could be someone who always plays by the rules, but someone can follow the rules and still be a real jerk, you know? In fact, some of the biggest idiots I know are people who follow the rules, usually because they make you feel like crap when you don't. Or maybe a good person is someone who's always doing good things for other people. That sure isn't me. I'd probably get kicked out of Boy Scouts if I was in it because I wouldn't help old ladies cross the street, if you get my drift. Not that I'm a jerk or anything, it's just that other people aren't always my main priority in life. I kind of wish Cat Poop had asked my mom to be even more specific, but I think he thought she'd done the best she could. Instead, he asked me to tell my parents 2 things about them that I was thankful for. I thought it was a little unfair making me say 2 things when they'd had to come up with just 1 each, but I gave it a shot. First, I was thankful that they always made sure I had everything I needed, like clothes and food and a house. Second, I said I was thankful that they never made me feel bad about myself. I was thinking about Sadie when I said that, about how her dad always made her feel like she was a problem. I also thought about Alice and her mother's boyfriend. I still have a hard time believing that any mom would let that happen to her kid, even though you read about it in the paper and see it on the news all the time. Until I met Alice, I always assumed it happened to other people, as in people I didn't know. I guess there are a lot more other people than I thought there were. After we talked a little more, they said they had a surprise for me. Amanda was with them. Cat Poop wanted to talk to my parents some more, so he told me to go into the room next to his office, which it turns out is almost exactly like his office, except there's no picture of a dog carrying a dead bird. I guess it's for another shrink, although it looked like no one had used it in a long time. Amanda was waiting there. When I came in, she jumped up and gave me a big hug. Watch it, I told her. First Mom and now you. This hugging stuff is starting to scare me. You jerk, she said, but not in an angry way. You scared me. Don't ever do that again. I still wasn't sure how much she knew about why I was in the hospital, so I was a little nervous. Again, I tried to hide my wrists by sticking my hands in the pockets of my jeans. It's okay, Amanda said. They told me. Besides, it's not like you could hide the bloodstains on the carpet. There was a lot of it. They let you see it? I asked. She shook her head. I snuck in. At first they tried to tell me you sliced yourself open, opening a CD with a box cutter. She rolled her eyes and I laughed. That's totally something my parents would do. I could see Amanda demanding to know the real story. Are you really okay? She asked me. Sure, I said. I'm fine. She gave me a look like she didn't believe me, but she didn't say anything. I knew she wanted to believe that everything's all right, and even though she probably had a million other questions, she didn't ask any of them. Then I noticed her hair. I dyed it, Amanda said. No kidding, I said. Had she ever. Her hair is naturally this kind of blondish red, just like my dad's. Now it's a lot more red. In fact, it was really red, like a cherry popsicle. Relax, she said when I didn't say anything for a minute. It's just Kool-Aid, but don't tell Mom. She thinks it's permanent. I laughed. It felt good. I hadn't had a real laugh since I woke up in the hospital. I won't, I promised. Why are you torturing her this time? Amanda shook her head. No reason, she said. It's just fun. That's what I love about my sister. She does things just because she wants to. I know you're not supposed to think your little sister is cool, but by now I think it's pretty obvious that I don't exactly do things by the book. Amanda sat down on the couch and I sat in a chair across from her. What's the word around school? I asked her. My head raced a little as I waited for her to answer. I don't really care what people think about me most of the time, but disappearing and ending up in the hospital are a little more serious than breaking out in zits or wearing the wrong sneakers. That depends who you ask, said Amanda. The popular theory is mono, although I've also heard that you have cancer, hepatitis, and maybe a brain tumor. Oh, and for about a day and a half, you'd run away because Mom and Dad caught you doing drugs. Excellent, I said. Does anyone know the real reason? If they do, they didn't hear it from me, she told me. I'm sticking with mono. Then I asked her the one question I was really interested in hearing the answer to. Have you seen Allie around? Yeah, Amanda said, but there was something in her voice that sounded weird, as if she really didn't want to talk about it, so of course I made her. It turns out Amanda saw Allie at lunch about a week after I came to the hospital. She thought Allie would want to know that I was okay, even if she couldn't tell her exactly what happened, so she went over to her and started talking. But all she did was kind of nod, Amanda said. She was sitting with this guy, and it was like she didn't really want to talk to me. I told Amanda that we'd had a fight about something, but that it wasn't a big deal, and Allie would get over it. I know Amanda didn't buy it, but for once she let it go. Like I said, she's pretty cool. Not that I'd ever let her know that. I have to keep her in line somehow, or she'll think she's the boss of everything. Anyway, you've got to get out of here soon, she said. They're driving me nuts. I knew she meant my mother and father. I could just imagine what they were like to live with now. I'm surprised they hadn't installed security cameras in Amanda's room, and now her Kool-Aid hair made even more sense. Knowing Amanda, she'd done it just to make them worry. Sorry about that, I said, and I really was. I mean, it's not Amanda's fault that I'm in here. I can handle it, she assured me. We just sat there for a minute, like we'd run out of things to say. But it wasn't awkward or weird. It was kind of nice. Amanda was treating me the way she always does, not like I'd done something crazy. Then Cat Poop opened the door and my parents came in. I don't know what he said to them, but they were all smiling again like circus clowns. I wanted to hand them some balloons. We'll see you next week, my mother said. She looked like she was going to hug me again, but I moved so that Cat Poop was between us and just said, okay, see you then. No one else tried to hug me, although I know Amanda would have if my parents hadn't been there, and that would have been okay. They all said goodbye and left. I'm sure they were as happy to get out as I would have been if I was leaving with them. It made me think of Mrs. Christensen. Mrs. Christensen is about 17 million years old. She's a friend of my grandmother's, and she lives in a home now because her entire family is dead. Every Christmas we have to go visit her. We take her a fruitcake and some presents, like slippers and chocolate and whatever. We spend about an hour with her, and it's the longest hour in the history of time. The home smells like old people. And even though they put all these decorations, it's still depressing. Mrs. Christensen always acts like we're her real family, but we aren't, and I can't wait to get out of there. I bet that's how my parents and Amanda feel. I know I would if one of them was in here. I just want to get it over with and leave the fruitcake.